one of the interesting virtual meeting of WRC, which is related to one of important scheme of MSME. So first we begin. I request everyone, please place their hand on heart for ICI motto.
य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तदेव शुक्रब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्द्वैता 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 एतद्द्वैता.
Welcome back, friends. We at WRC is always committed to provide knowledge for our members related to the new opportunities. So in this series, we have scheduled this meeting to highlight one of the scheme. You can say Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana of food processing industry of India, and we would like to have knowledge sharing for the new areas which are still the gray area. You can say in MSME, we are very less CA, which we have very less CA. Those are in practice related to MSME areas. So to highlight on that, this meeting is scheduled, and we are very lucky to have a personality like GB Modi sir as a speaker, who know, you can say, everything about the MSME sector, and each and every scheme is well-known and expert faculty with us. So I welcome you, sir. And we also have a presence of Regional Council member Ishwar Jiwani ji, Vice Chairman of MSME and Startup Committee of WIRC. So with this, I like to invite Ishwar Jiwani sir to introduce our today's faculty, well-known faculty, GB Modi sir.
Thank you, Ajmeraji, for giving me an opportunity to introduce our today's speaker, GB Modi sir. He is BCom FCA CS final, and he is having certificate course in cooperative audit, concurrent audit, Anti Money Laundering Act, ADR, public finance and government accounting. Along with that, MSME and Forex and Treasury Management. He was appointed as expert on the panel of Women Entrepreneurship Platform of Niti Aayog by ICI. He has been appointed as Security Market Trainer by SEBI and NISM. He has co-authored the book Practical Manual on Package Scheme of Incentive 2013, published by WRC of ICI. He was chairman of Dhule branch for the year 2015-16. He was on governing council member of Laghu Udyog Bharti Dhule for the year 15-17. He is secretary of Agarwal Medical Cell Dhule. He was also Dhule district convener of BJP Industry Cell for the year 2015-20. He has been North Maharashtra convener of BJP Economic Cell 2020-21. He was appointed as mentor for startup by North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. He is having experience of more than 31 years as a partner of Modi and Agarwal Chartered Accountant, having office at Mumbai and having branches at Aurangabad, Dhule and Jalgaon. He is having the areas of specialization as obtaining subsidy from state government, central government, Ministry of Textile, NABARD, National Horticulture Mission Board, Ministry of Food Processing, and also a venture capital assistant from SFSC, New Delhi. He has handled more than 300 ginning and pressing mill factories subsidy Then he has also handled more than 400 SSI units subsidy projects from DIC. He has given various lectures around more than 60 lectures during last 2 years. He has been associated at Dhule Oil Seeds Crushers Association. With this, I introduce before you our learned speaker, CA GB Modi ji. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you, Ishwar Bhai. So before we begin, I like to inform to all the participants that on 27th, we are celebrating International MSME Day at BKC, and we are organizing programs for all of you. Please join over there also. And happy learning to all of you. Over to you, sir.
Sir, unmute yourself, sir.
Thanks to the ICI WIRC for giving me this opportunity. The scheme which we are going to discuss today is just declared on 8th June 2022, and the Gazette notification has come on 21st June 2022. So it is a very recent scheme which we are going to discuss. And why the WIRC, I personally appreciate the office bearers of WIRC for organizing in such a short period a program on a latest scheme of Ministry of Food Processing Industries. Problem in sound, so you are not able to. My voice is audible because there is.
Yes, sir. Audible.
Audible. So recently the ministry has introduced the scheme, and WIRC has taken a step forward, and they have organized the webinar on the very important topic. And see why this topic is important. Very rightly, aptly said by our honorable MSME chairman of WIRC, that very few chartered accountants are taking interest in this area of practice. They don't find opportunity. They don't think that there can be a career opportunities as far as MSME is concerned. And why I am speaking so? From last 31 years, my core area of practice is in MSME. And that's to that point, I appreciate and I congratulate the WIRC entire team, and particularly to the MSME committee, wholeheartedly appreciating and accepting my request and giving me the opportunity to discuss with you. And throughout my discussion in this 2 hours presentation, friends, I will be more interested you to point to you the professional opportunities available to we practicing CA if we decode this scheme of the central government. The opportunities we can get when we understand, because the client is nearby you. But since we are not aware about the scheme, the guidelines, the percentage of subsidy, we are unable to find the clients, or we are not able to tell them, "Arey sir, aapke liye aisa scheme aaya, you can take the benefits." So the clients are around us, because what normally happens, the entrepreneurs in the country, they are busy with their day-to-day business operations. They may not be aware what the proclamations, what the schemes are declared by the central and state governments. But our institute, you take the example of ICI at national level, the Committee on MSME at national level, or at WIRC level, or at branches level. They are organizing various type of webinar, seminar for the knowledge sharing of members. And through this knowledge sharing of seminars, we come to know about certain new schemes, new opportunities. And if somebody tap that opportunity, I think he can become an expert in that scheme, and he will get a professional opportunity as far as. So this is a little bit about the importance, the opportunities available, and very new scheme. It is not a new scheme. It has been already published, or it is in existence. But now the new guidelines has come into existence, and those guidelines will be applicable for this Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. So this is a central government scheme which is implemented by Ministry of Food Processing Industries, Government of India. And see the word itself, opportunities for investment. This opportunity is for the entrepreneurs of the country. When there is an opportunity for the entrepreneurs in the country in food processing industries, what role we as a practicing chartered accountant can play when such type of opportunities existence or created by the Ministry of Food Processing Industries under the umbrella. What is the umbrella of the scheme? Under Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. So this is a brand under which on 21st June 2022, we are discussing on 23rd, a 2 day before only, expression of interest is invited by the Ministry of Food Processing Industries under Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. 5 schemes has been declared. Today we are going to discuss about one scheme of that: creation, expansion of food processing preservation capacity. There are altogether 5 schemes, but we are going to discuss only one scheme which was in existence up to 31st March 2020, but now again it has been reintroduced with modified guidelines. So that we are going to discuss today. And while discussing, just understand what type of professional opportunities we can grab. You are around 55 chartered accountants who are listening to me in your own area, in your own tehsil, own district, own state. You can find the business opportunity or a professional opportunity when you understand these schemes. As far as this scheme is concerned, up to 8/6/2022, state-wise number of proposals approved under the scheme of creation, expansion of food processing preservation capacities of Pradhan Mantri. So up to 8/6/2002, state-wise number of units already approved is given. And you see, Maharashtra is the biggest beneficiary, number 14 state. Maharashtra has got 42 approved projects under this scheme by the Ministry of Food Processing Industries. So Andhra Pradesh is having 3 units approved, Arunachal 9, Assam 22, Bihar 1, Chhattisgarh 1, Goa 1, Gujarat 31, again which comes under the jurisdiction of WIRC. So who is helping these entrepreneurs? Who has made the application on behalf of the prospective investor? Who have helped them, guided them, mentored them during the process of concept to commissioning, concept to making the application till getting the approval and even disbursement of subsidy from the Ministry of Food Processing Industry. Because the head office of this ministry from where the scheme is implemented is situated at Panchashil Bhavan, August Kranti Maidan, New Delhi. So we have to visit number of times to get the project approved to the Panchashil Bhavan, New Delhi. Haryana 15 project, Himachal, very difficult state, but very rich in horticulture and floriculture and fruit products. So 22 projects are approved. Jharkhand, still no project is approved. Great opportunity as far as who practicing from Jharkhand state is concerned. Karnataka 17, Kerala 12, very small state, but very rich in spices. And the name itself suggests Ministry of Food Processing, Kisan Sampada Yojana. Madhya Pradesh 12 projects, Maharashtra 42 projects, Manipur 5, Meghalaya 2, Mizoram, very a 7 sister, Northeast, Nagaland 4 projects, and Odisha 2 projects, Punjab 12 projects, a very small state but very rich in agriculture, 12 projects, Rajasthan 12, Sikkim 1, Tamil Nadu 24 projects, Telangana only 1 project, but industrially developed state, Tripura 4, very small state, Uttar Pradesh 26, considering the area of Uttar Pradesh, the number of projects approved in Uttar Pradesh is very less. Uttarakhand, again very rich in horticulture and floriculture, but very difficult state, but still they have 10 projects. West Bengal 9, Andaman and Nicobar 0, Chandigarh 0, Delhi 0, Dadra Nagar Haveli, Jammu and Kashmir 18 projects are approved by a ministry till 8/6/2022 in previous schemes. Ladakh 0, Lakshadweep 0, Pandi. So in all 320 projects has been approved under Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana till date. Chat, I think we should take they are mentioning we are removing one ID. Okay, so not related to me. That what we are going to discuss today is the creation, expansion of food processing preservation capacities. This is the scheme which we are going to discuss today. The government notification has come about calling the expression of interest on 21/6/2022. Just 2 days before when we are discussing this scheme. Today is 23rd. On 21 June 2022, expression of interest proposals are invited under following sub-scheme of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana for setting up infrastructure project with reference to the guideline dated 8/6/2022. The government has declared the guidelines on 8th June 2022. And which are the 5 schemes which will be considered under this expression of interest? Creation of infrastructure for agro-processing cluster. Creation.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I remember that one of the guy in Ahmedabad, he's he's architect by profession, but he's involving CS and all other professionals, and thereby he's making this application. So I will request you to guide us at WRC. How can we create such kind of entity wherein we give all type of infrastructure facilities and all facilities one at one unit?
Multidisciplinary partnership form, which
Yes,
is
that's
permitted
all.
by institute. So I was going
Yes.
to suggest that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome, sir. It's a good suggestion. So creation of infrastructure for agro-processing cluster is one scheme. Creation, expansion of food processing and preservation capacities, that which we are going to. Integrated cold chain and value additional infrastructure. Very important project as far as the metro cities are concerned. If called again by WIRC, I can give presentation on this scheme also. Integrated cold chain and value addition infrastructure. Very essential as far as metro cities, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Delhi, Chennai is concerned, because everything is consumed in these metro cities. For farm to shop is the integrated cold chain value addition infrastructure, setting up upgradation of food testing laboratories, Operation Green long-term intervention. So this gazette notification has been issued by the Ministry of Food Processing. What is the crux of this gazette notification? See, this is an emergency, very tough scheme, a very effective scheme that we have to start working from today itself. The last date for submitting application online is, mind yourself, your client, to whom you are guiding, the last date of submission of application is up to 5 p.m. on 10th August 22. Thus, 10 August is the last date for submitting online application. So it is not that कि चलो आखिरी तारीख को income tax return भर देंगे. There are so many documents which has to be uploaded along with the online application. And the link for submission of online application shall be available. Functional from 10 AM from 27th June. 27 जून 2022 से लेके 10 अगस्त 2022 तक only 45 days are allowed to upload the application for under this scheme. 27th June 22 till 5 p.m. up to 10th August. So friends, we have only 45 days to approach our client, to educate the client about the scheme, to prepare the documents and to upload the documents so that they become eligible subject to terms and conditions and guidelines of this creation expansion of food processing capacities scheme of the Ministry of Food Processing Industries is concerned. So these dates are very important for all of you. These dates. 10th August is the last date. जैसा हम लोग टैक्स ऑडिट और जीएसटी ऑडिट में we have the last date. So last hour rush. Similarly, we have to start working from today itself to succeed in making the applications on behalf of our clients, and the window for submission of applications will start with effect from 27th June 10 AM morning till 5th PM up to 10th August 2022. Now you will ask me, what is the history of these schemes? History of this scheme. The latest guideline has come on 8th June 2022. Scheme guidelines for which the online application will start from 27th June. And the guidelines was published on 8/6, which we are going to discuss. But prior to that, The original scheme has come into existence on 11th July 2017. That was the original scheme. And it was revised around 10 times. The scheme was modified, further modified, twice in 2017, thrice in 2018, thrice in 2019, twice in 2020. And ultimately, a new scheme has been introduced with effect from 8/6/2022. So many learn, unlearn, and relearn about the scheme. So each time a person who is making application has to again and again read the latest scheme so that his client should not lose the subsidy, because the scheme is modified number of times, 10 times. So what is the latest scheme which is going to be applicable, that we have to learn. Whatever we have learned so far, we have to unlearn, and again we have to relearn the latest scheme. How much time the extension was given to the scheme? The original extension, the original expression of interest has come on 2nd August 2017. And the last date at that time was 15th September 2017. And then number of times, thrice the date of extension is given for submission of the application, because see, 2017 till 2020, only 320 proposals are approved. It means most of the entrepreneurs in the country are unable to fulfill the guidelines prescribed by the scheme, or the scheme is in such a way it is drafted that it has become difficult for the entrepreneurs to make the application before the due dates. Hence, the scheme was again and again extended, and the last date is given. See, जैसा GST का डेट बढ़ते गया था, उस तरह से here the latest extension was 31st August 2020, and the last date for submission was 30th November 2020 was the last date, and new guidelines on 8/6/2022 was introduced, which is for which expression of interest is called on 21st June 2020, and the last date of application is 10th August 2022. So this is the history of this scheme, how this modification of the guidelines, learning, relearning, and the extension of EOI has happened. I can't say that again, whatever is published in the latest guideline, that 10th August will be the last date. There may be chances or there may not be chances, but we should not take past history as that in future also on 10th August also extension may come. It's an India level scheme. Hence, there may not be the chances that the scheme may be extended. We'll come to the actual scheme, the guidelines of the scheme. Objective for which this scheme has been introduced by the Government of India, Ministry of Food Processing Industry. The main objective of the scheme is for what? Creation of new processing and preserving capacities. Creation of processing and preserving capacities. Modernization of existing outdated technology which is used by the existing food processing enterprises. If they want to modernize, if they want to adopt the latest technology, even for that, this scheme is eligible. Expansion of existing project. Expansion. If I am having a capacity of 100 TPD per day, and if I want to expand that capacity by another 100 TPD, so expansion, modernization, and creation of new infrastructure or new processing and preservation capacities are eligible under this scheme of the MOFI. MOFI means Ministry of Food Processing Industries, which will help in increasing the level of processing. The perishable fruits and vegetables in the country will be increased in the processing. Value addition, tomato to tomato ketchup to further value addition, milk to milk powder, milk to paneer, butter, ghee, mutter, or whatever, ice cream. Value additions lead to reduction in food loss. perishable commodities, perishable fruits and vegetables are spoiled because of not making value additions immediately after post harvest. So lead to reduction in food loss, result in enhancement of farmers' income. What will happen if the agro and food products are processed immediately? Then there will be a huge demand in the market by the manufacturers, by the value additions creator, by the processors in the country. And by that, the farmers' income will increase. With this objective, this scheme has been introduced by the MOFI. Which are the eligible sectors we are eligible? It is an illustrative list. It is not a final list. It is an illustrative list. Eligible sectors. Which are the eligible sectors? Fruits and vegetable processing. Because whatever fruits, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, Punjab and this Gujarat belt, which is Balsana, Vapi and Navsari, this fruits and vegetable processing is a eligible sector to get a benefit under this MOFI scheme, fruits and vegetables. Milk processing and dairy product industries, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, very rich in dairy farming. So milk processing, dairy farming is not eligible, but making value addition in milk is eligible sector to get the benefit under this MOFI scheme. So milk processing and dairy product industries. Gujarat can take the advantage of this, particularly Madhya Pradesh adjoining to this Delhi and this. Meat, poultry and fish processing. Sagarmala project of the central government. India has got huge coastal belt right from Somnath to Ganga Sagar. Of India, Sagarmala project of India.
Sir, for some time you were not audible, sir, for last
Sir,
1 minute.
1 minute. So my side it is perfect. Okay. So meat, poultry and fish processing right from Somnath to Ganga Sagar in West Bengal, India has got a coastal belt of 7,517 kilometers. So coast-based industry, Sagarmala project is a dream project of the government of India. And on coast base, this meat, poultry and fish processing can be a very good industry where potential investors can take the advantage. And we are based, our WIRC is having the advantage of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Goa. So all these three states is having coast belt. So our chartered accountant, if they can get the knowledge, they can easily find the entrepreneurs within their reach to help them to get the benefit under these schemes. Ready to eat, ready to cook food products, breakfast cereals, snacks, bakery and other food products, including nutritional health foods. What is Haldiram Bhujiawala? What is Balaji wafers? What is Ganesh? It is ready to eat and ready to cook food. Bhiwandi, particularly as far as Bombay is concerned, so many food manufacturers are there which are manufacturing ready to eat and ready to cook. Chheda in Kandivali, Gujarat, so many PT manufacturers are there. So they are all eligible sector to get the benefit under this scheme, ready to eat, ready to cook food products. Haldiram Bhujiawala from Nagpur, breakfast, cereal, snacks and all these things. Grain pulses, grain milling, pulses manufacturing, oil seeds milling, oil refinery, solvent extractions, and processing based on modern technology, silo-based maize product, value addition from maize, around 180 products can be manufactured by a single raw material known as maize. Maize, glucose and sorbitol, mannitol, so many products. So grain pulses, oilseed milling and processing is also eligible sector as far as this scheme is concerned. Modern rice milling, particularly Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, Chhattisgarh, where rice is produced in large quantity. So modern rice milling, not traditional rice milling. Rice milling having a complete automation is eligible to get the benefit under these schemes. Other agri products including spices, Kerala, or some part of Gujarat, some part of Rajasthan, spices, coconut, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, soybean, Madhya Pradesh, mushroom processing, honey processing is eligible sector to get the benefit under this scheme of MOPI. Fruit-based wines, Nasik, Sangli, Satara, Gujarat, honey-based wines is another sector which is eligible to get the benefits under MOPI schemes. Natural food flavors, food additives, food extracts and colors, oleoresins, guar gum, and cocoa products. See, it is a sector. Under that sector, there can be a multiple industries. So it is a very, very wide range of industries which are covered under this MOPI scheme. Manufacturing of jaggery, Kolhapur, Sangli, Satari in Maharashtra, Hapud in Madhya Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, manufacturing jaggery from sugarcane and value-added products from jaggery powder, chikki, jaggery, chikki, all these things. Jaggery as a raw material except sugar mills. So sugar mill are excluded under the scheme of MOPI for getting the benefit. So manufacturing of jaggery from sugarcane and value-added products from jaggery is eligible sector. Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Rajasthan, huge quantity of sugarcane. Sugarcane is manufactured in certain part of India, and the biggest sugarcane manufacturer is Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab. These states, they can take the advantage of these jaggery manufacturers. Any other sector that makes food products fit for human consumption. What is the condition? The product should be fit for human consumption. Then it is eligible to get the benefit under this MOPI scheme of the government of India. Animal feed manufacturing units, but there is certain restriction for this. Because this is not fit for human consumption. So animal feed manufacturing units already set up or being set up in mega food parks. The condition is that such type of units, that is animal feed manufacturing or agro processing, these units should be established either in mega food parks or agro processing cluster to become eligible to get the benefit under this scheme of MOPI. Carbonated drinks, beverages containing fruit juice, pulp, that fruity, carbonated drinks, beverages containing fruit juice, pulp more than 5% in case of lime, lemon, and more than 10% in case of other fruits. A maximum 2 units in mega food parks and 1 unit in agro processing cluster can be sanctioned under this category. So as per revised guidelines, a project which is established in approved mega food park. What is the mega food park? There is another scheme of MOPI which is providing subsidy for establishing food park. So any project which is established in approved food park, under this category, 2 units will be eligible and 1 units in agro processing cluster. Another scheme of the ministry, which is providing 10 crore rupees subsidy for creating infrastructure under the agro processing cluster scheme of the MOPI, are eligible to get the benefit. So these are the sectors where entrepreneurs, if he establishes a food manufacturing unit, will be eligible to get the benefit. Then which are the non-eligible sector? So far, whatever I have discussed, these are the eligible sectors. This is eligible sectors list: fruit, milk, fish, ready to eat, dal meal, oil meal, fruit based, jaggery based, all these things. Then what are the non-eligible sectors? Activities related to manufacturing aerated water, packaged drinking water, that is Bisleri water or packaged drinking water, will not be considered for financial assistance under the scheme. So any unit which is established for processing, I can say processing, it is not a manufacturing. Water is purified. Water cannot be manufactured. Processed further of aerated water and packaged drinking water will not be considered for financial assistance under the scheme. Farming activities, as I told you, dairy farming is not permitted. Poultry farming is not permitted. Value addition in milk, after the milk is removed from the milk animal, then further processing is eligible. Poultry farming, hatcheries and poultry farming are not eligible. Value addition in poultry, eggs is eligible. Mushroom farming is not eligible. Hatcheries, etc. are not eligible for financial assistance under the scheme. So be careful whenever a client approaches to you, just ask him under which sector he wants to start a manufacturing unit. And if you are aware about this sector, you can tell him, yes, sir, you are eligible, you can get the benefit because you people have attended today's webinar, due to which you will get the first-hand information about the scheme. Then eligible processing activities. So far we have discussed about the sectors. Now, which are the eligible processing activities? Sorting, grading, washing, peeling, cutting and sizing is eligible processing activities. So these are the eligible processing of grading and salting of fruits, vegetable, grain and pulses, washing of fruits and vegetables. If somebody is establishing a washing line, particularly in Nasik, I have seen number of units which are having washing line for grapes and strawberry. Particular in Mahabaleshwar also, washing, peeling, cutting and sizing. This is cutting and sizing. This is a peeling activity. This is washing activity. This is salting according to the size, salting according to the color, salting according to the weight of the fruits and vegetable is eligible processing activities. Blanching, this is blanching, crushing, crush करके उसका juice निकाल लो. Extraction and pulping is another processing activities eligible under this MOFI schemes. Drying, dehusking, drying, so that the shelf life of the fruits and vegetable will be increased by 2 months, 3 months. So dehydrations of the fruits, drying, dehusking, dehulling, splitting, depodding, deseeding, color salting, pulverizations, extrusion, freeze drying, and dehydration of onion and all these things. We know the word dehydration of onion, dehydration of chilies, dehydrations of potatoes, dehydration of onion, and frying is another processing activities which are eligible to get the benefit under these schemes of the Ministry of MOFI. Pasteurization, milk pasteurization. Homogenization, again, milk processing. Cow milk and buffalo milk is homogenized. Evaporation of water or impurities. Concentration of fruit pulp is eligible activity. Tomato से evaporation करके पानी निकाल लेना is a eligible activity. So pasteurization, homogenization is related to milk industry. Evaporation is related to evaporating the water. Concentration is pulp making and mango juice making. Packaging facilities like canning of fruits and vegetables and pickle. Aseptic packing, vacuum packing, what we see in day-to-day life. Once that packing is just removed, it will become very loose. So vacuum packaging, bottling, edible packaging, labeling, and other specialized packaging is eligible processing activities under the scheme. Chemical preservations, pickling, fermentation of any other specialized facility required for preservation activity. See, mango is available particular season, grapes is, or particularly that one product say comes only for a period of 20 days in a year or for a month period. So how to preserve that food products for a longer period? So these processes of chemical, pickling, fermentation, and other facility required for prison activities are eligible to get the benefits. Again, coastal bait, coast-based industries, individual quick freezing, quick IQF processing is eligible. Fruits blast technology. The meat and fish are exported through ships by making the blast technology. उसको -40 डिग्री में blast कर देते, blast freezing, plate freezing, spiral freezing is eligible activity under the Ministry of Food Processing Industry. These controlled temperature transport, railway or vehicles like coolers and refrigerated vans, insulated vans or ventilated transport. But this standalone vehicle is not eligible. Integrated project is eligible. So this is one processing activity which is eligible. Other processing, preservation, transport, storage facilities, adjacent to value additions and shelf-life enhancement of the food products. What is the importance of food processing industry? Increasing the shelf life of the product. Mango लाया, उसको अगर 4 दिन में 5 दिन में नहीं खाए तो it become spoiled. It is not edible. So increasing the shelf life of the food product is the important aspect as far as food processing industries is concerned. Firefighting equipment and insect repellents, that is FSSAI license. They says that you have to provide these processes in your existing or proposed manufacturing units. So eligible processing activities. What so far we have discussed, these are the eligible processing activities where entrepreneurs is eligible to get the benefit of subsidy under this Ministry of Food Processing Industry. What is the disclaimer under this scheme? The above list is only illustrative and not exhaustive. It does not mean it is restricted. So because there are lakhs of products in the country which is fit for human consumption. So this is illustrative list. Food processing industry is fast evolving and several innovative processing technologies because of Startup India and technology development. Several innovative processing technologies are being developed day by day, which can be considered under the scheme if deemed fit. The project should include and result in creation, main objective of the scheme. The project should include and result in creation, increase in processing capacity. So it should result in creation. Standalone activities, as I told you, standalone cold storage is not eligible. Standalone insulated vehicle is not eligible. Standalone activities like temperature controlled transportation, storage facilities will not be considered for financial assistance under the scheme. So keep in your mind that vehicles standalone purchased by the entrepreneurs are not eligible. Ineligible items. We are all practicing chartered accountant. We know whenever we prepare a project report, land, building, plant, machinery, electrical installation, other fixed assets, firefighting equipment, way, bridge, computers, all these things are required, the material handling equipment. So which items are considered for calculation of grant in aid? Why we have assembled today to know the percentage of subsidy, the sector, the process, the items on which the MOFI will give subsidy under this scheme, which is introduced on 8/6/2022. So ineligible items for calculation of grant yield. We are sorry, but you are not. We are incurring the expenditure. The promoter is incurring the expenditure because without that expenditure, the project cannot be completed. So which are the element or which are the items of expenditure which will not be considered while calculating the subsidy under this scheme by MOFI? Compound wall is excluded, but still the promoter is supposed to do the expenditure. Approach road, internal roads, if cost of land and site development is not included. Administrative office building is excluded. Labor restroom and quarters for worker is not considered for calculation of grant. How much percentage of subsidy will be given, that we will discuss in subsequent slides. But these are the items on which are fixed assets. The promoter, if he is creating first time the infrastructure, he incurs the expenditure on these items. These are eligible for bank finance, but not eligible under the MOFI scheme, under this scheme which we are discussing for calculation of grant yield. Security guard room or enclosure, non-technical civil works not related to the components of the scheme. What is non-technical civil works? Go down, store room, generator room, office block, labor quarters. So a building in which the machinery is housed, in which the machinery is installed, is a technical civil work. So non-technical civil work is excluded, but technical civil work is included. Margin money, working capital and contingencies. We know that this is not a fixed assets. Working capital margin never eligible for subsidy. Fuel, day-to-day fuel, which is used for running of the unit, or first time if it is introduced in the factory. Consumables, spares and store is not eligible. Transport vehicle except controlled temperature transport like coolers. If I am in pulp manufacturing and I have transport vehicle to transport the pulp, the mangoes from the, say, Ratnagiri, Sangli, Solapur, where the mangoes are in from Konkan part of Maharashtra. So to bring the mangoes from the farmers to my factory premises, and from my factory premises to my cold storage, and from my cold storage to the stores of the consumers or my B2B. So transport vehicles, if it is an integral part of the manufacturing process. So transport vehicle except controlled temperature transport like coolers and refrigerated, insulated, ventilated transport is ineligible item of expenditure. Pre-operative expenses. We take pre-operative expenses in project. Service charges, carriage and freight charges or other such charges, fees. I pay freight charges for transportation of machinery. Normally what we do as a CA, we capitalize expenses incurred to bring the machinery to the production. But they say that this type of charges will not be considered. Only core charge, core amount, the net amount paid to the machinery supplier will be considered. So service charges for erection of machinery, carriage and freight charges or other such charges, fees, technical fee paid to the technical consultant for installation of machinery is not eligible. Expenditure on painting of machinery, specifically excluded. Painting of machinery, AC ducting, furniture, computers and allied office items are excluded, not eligible item for calculation of subsidy. Closed circuit CCTV camera and security system related to equipment, whether it is in factory premises or outside the factory premises, is excluded while calculating the grant yield. Consultancy fee, taxes, GST paid, etc. on plant and machinery. So net of GST is eligible for grant yield. Stationary items, certain items which are required for transportation within the factory premises. Plant and machinery not directly related to components of the scheme. fly catchers, hand washers, laundry, particularly in ready to eat or ready to cook factory where FSI license make compulsion that there should be fly catchers and hand washers. Reconditioned second-hand machinery, reconditioned machinery, refurbished machinery are not eligible for calculation of grant in aid. Please keep in your mind. Original equipment manufacturer, OEM, the machinery must be purchased a latest new brand new machinery, reconditioned, refurbished, second hand, old plant and machinery are not eligible to calculate the grant in aid. Send eligible entities. We all are practicing chartered accountant. हमें पता है what is the assessee under Income Tax Act. So all type of assessees are all type of constitutions of the units are eligible to get the benefit under these schemes. Under what constitution my unit is, whether it is a proprietorship, partnership, LLP, private limited, limited company, self-help group, NGO, farmer producer organizations, joint venture, central and state government public sector undertaking, which are engaged in establishment, upgradation, modernization of food units are eligible to get the benefit. So if your constitution falls under all categories as an assessee as defined under Income Tax Act is eligible to get the benefit. Any organization or an individual engaged in plans who is establishing units is eligible. Proposal received from scheduled caste. Very, very important. There is additional benefit given to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, entrepreneurs. But what the scheme says, proposal received from scheduled caste, scheduled tribes holding at least 51%. 100% holding by these people, this caste is not a compulsion. Even if they are holding 51% stake in partnership firm, 51% stake in LLP, 51% shareholding in private limited company, or 51% membership in cooperative societies are eligible. 49% may be for general category. So proposal received from scheduled caste, scheduled tribes holding at least 51% in the entity will be treated as SC/ST proposal. Very, very important. And SC/ST proposal has got an added advantage we will see in next slides. Eligible location of the project, where the project should be established. हमने जो पुरानी scheme देखी, which was amended number of times by the MOFI. There was a compulsion in previous schemes, or the word used in previous scheme was that preference will be given to the project which are established inside the mega food parks. A parks which is approved by Ministry of Food Processing Industries, which is funded by Ministry of Food Processing Industry. If any entrepreneur establish a unit in that park, then and then only that unit will become eligible to get the subsidy. Or an agro processing cluster established under the scheme of MOPI were eligible under the previous schemes. The modification of those in recent scheme is that the proposal under the scheme will be considered both inside the mega food park, agro processing clusters, and anywhere outside. The important thing is that anywhere outside the mega food park or mini food park or agro processing cluster. So now, if a unit is established outside the mega food park, outside the agro processing cluster, then such units are also eligible to get the grant in aid under this MOFI scheme. Then what is the condition? If they suppose MOFI has allocated 1,000 crore rupees as a grant in aid to be given under these revised guidelines of 8th June, 60% of the fund means 600 crore out of 1,000 crore. At hypothetical example I am taking, ministry is having the vision to provide a grant of 1,000 crore rupees. So 60% of that will be 600 crore will be for units inside mega food park agri processing cluster. So 60% of the grant, it is not 60% of the unit. 60% will be for the units. Out of the total fund allocation under this scheme by the ministry, 60% of the grant will be provided to the units which will be established in mini food park or agro processing cluster. And only 40% of the grant, that is 400 crore, of to the units outside the mega food park or agro processing cluster will be provided. So very, very important conditions. Whenever a client approaches to you, don't give him any assurance. अरे सर मैं आपकी तो सब्सिडी करा के ही ला दूंगा. Don't worry, because nobody, no one can say with 100% confidence that my unit will be eligible to get the subsidy, because the fund allocation is into 60:40%. And this is India. Around 36 states are there. 320 units have already got the approval. So be careful. Make a disclaimer to your clients, and while making a consultancy agreement with your clients, tell them that my role is to make your applications, to make the follow-up of the ministry, and if your proposal does not find fit or does not get approved by the ministry, I am sorry, I cannot help you further. But for making the applications, processing the application, helping the entrepreneurs to submit the application with reference to today's guidelines which we are discussing, be prepared to take some advanced professional fee. Otherwise, you will lose because the ministry has not considered the project. So keep in your mind, 60% will be units in the mega food park or agro processing cluster, and 40% of the units will be outside the mega food park and agro processing cluster. What is the eligibility criteria? We have seen the eligible sector, we have seen the eligible processes, we have seen the eligible entities. Now eligibility criteria. What conditions, what guidelines, what criteria an entrepreneur has to fulfill to become eligible to get the grant in aid under this scheme of the Ministry of for creation, expansion of food processing, preservation capacities. Eligibility criteria: 1, net worth. It is the net worth of the promoter, the combined net worth of the applicant and applicant's promoter shall not be less than 1.5 times of the grant in aid sought under the scheme. Suppose, as per my project report, I am eligible to get the grant of 1 crore rupees as per our own fair estimates. Then the applicant net worth should be 1.5 CR. This is the first eligibility condition. But this condition is relaxed in case of proposals from difficult area, that is Uttaranchal or Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh or ITDP areas. In case of proposals from difficult area, applicants of SC/ST category, SC/ST, that's why I told you, SC/ST category having 51% shareholding, farmer producer organization, APOs, self-help groups, combined net worth shall not be less than the grant in need. 1 crore का grant मिल रहा है तो आपका combined net worth 1 crore is sufficient. But for general category applicant, the net worth must be 1.5 times the grant expected to be sought under the scheme. So here SC/ST category 101% equal grant net worth. In case of proposal from SC/ST category, the sum of net worth for SC/ST members shall not be less than 10% of the combined net. SC/ST मेंबर का 10% नेटवर्थ चलेगा, जनरल कैटेगरी का आप 90% मांग सकते हो. In case of proposal from central government, because these are eligible entities, central government, public sector enterprises, state government enterprises. See, MAIDC, Maharashtra Agro Industries Development Corporation, they have their pulp or ketchup manufacturing unit, Noga, in Nagpur. So it is a state government organization. So in case of Amul is a movement in Gujarat. So a case of proposal from central government, including entities, organization under the central government or state governments, no net worth criteria will be applicable. The net worth criteria is applicable for general category applicant, difficult area applicant, for SC/ST another relaxation, but for central government and state government departments, it is completely exempted. Eligibility criteria, very, very difficult. Bank loan, final in principle term loan sanction letter from a bank. To become eligible, and to become eligible, what is the last date? 10th August 2022, with effect from 27th June 2022. Friends, our bankers are so efficient that if somebody makes an application 8 जून 2022 को आप स्कीम लेके आते हो, गाइडलाइंस लेके आते हो, 21 जून 22 को आप EOI निकालते हो, expression of interest, and you are opening the window on 27th June and you are closing the window on 10th August, only 45 days. Is it possible for the entrepreneurs to get the final or in principle term loan sanction letter from the bank, which is otherwise you are, because this is a condition to become eligible to get the grant under this scheme. So bank loan sanction letter in principle. So we have to work very fast. If we have any clients who is interested to take the benefit under this scheme, final in principle term loan sanction letter from a bank has to be uploaded, indicating whether proposal is for expansion, upgradation or fresh up proposal. See the another condition, again very typical, the date of sanction of term loan. The date of sanction letter of term loan should not be earlier than the date of issue of expression of interest. 21/6/2022. For this scheme, these guidelines which are in existence today, the expression of interest is published by the MOFI on 21st June 2022. So any entrepreneurs who has got term loan sanction letter prior to this date, date of sanction of term loan should not be earlier than the date of issue of expression of interest, inviting application under the scheme. इतना easy नहीं है. After तो term date of sanction of term loan should be from which date onward? 21/6/2022 के बाद का चलेगा. Because the date of expression of interest is published on 21st June 2022. I got number of calls from all over India. सर हमारा तो लोन अभी 1 महीना पहले सैंक्शन हुआ. कोई लोग बोल रहे सर मेरे को ब्रांच मैनेजर अभी सैंक्शन लेटर दे रहा. मैंने बोला don't take, wait up to 27th June. Expression of interest को भी भूल जाओ. Respect the bankers not to sanction the loan before this date or 27th. So this is the importance. So people who has already got the sanction letter, they have missed the opportunity to take the benefit under the scheme. So date of sanction letter of term loan should not be earlier. So this is another eligibility criteria. The first one is to meet net worth. This is cumulative. मेरा net worth हो रहा है, मेरा loan नहीं हो रहा है. Nothing. Every conditions has to be fulfilled. Each one is essential. Bank, for the purpose of these guidelines, means बैंक का भी नाम बता दिया कौन सी बैंक चाहिए. कोऑपरेटिव बैंक नो परमिटेड, scheduled commercial banks. The loan letter, the loan sanction, in principle sanction should be from scheduled commercial banks. So if somebody is approaching to the cooperative banks, scheduled cooperative banks, Grameen banks, certain private banks, certain small banks in the country which has developed a SOBAR, they will not be eligible to get the subsidy. See the importance the chartered accountant can play in the life of the entrepreneurs who wants to take the benefit. It's a huge opportunity under MSME sector. Each line is important to fulfill the guidelines to become eligible to get the subsidy. Scheduled commercial bank. So the loan should be only from scheduled commercial bank or government controlled financial institution. So any financial institution which is not controlled, which is controlled by business houses like Adani Finance or Reliance Finance or Reliance Capital or Tata Finance, no, government controlled financial institution or non-banking finance company approved by Reserve Bank of India. So be careful while taking the loans. These three entities are only eligible entities from where to become eligible to take the loan. Term loan fair bank, how much loan is expected? What is the minimum loan? 20% loan of the project cost is sufficient compliance. So if you take 20% of your project cost, minimum 20% loan. In case of proposals from areas, difficult areas, or proposal from SC/ST or farmer producer or self-help groups, term loan amount shall not be less than 10% of the project cost. It is more than 10%, welcome. If it is more than 20% in general areas, welcome. Minimum term loan should be 20% of the your total project cost, whether it is eligible item or ineligible item. Here the project cost is mentioned, not eligible project cost on which the grant is given. So be careful about that. Difficult area, as I have used many times, difficult area. Which are the difficult area in the country? Northeastern state, including Sikkim, that's 7 system, state of Uttarakhand, state of Himachal Pradesh, Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, state notified ITDP areas, integrated tribal development project areas and islands, Union territories of Andaman, Nicobar and Lakshadweep are known as difficult area. So if you have any clients from this area, they will be given additional benefit because their unit comes under difficult area part of the eligibility criteria. A detailed appraisal note from scheduled commercial bank specific to the proposal. फिर problem हो गया. In principle sanction. And again they said a detailed appraisal note from a scheduled commercial bank specific to the proposal. How to get this detailed appraisal note? Normally the banker says that this is a internal document of the bank which cannot be shared or made available to the promoters of the unit. It is an internal proposal, inter-process note of the bankers. But the MOFI, being a central government organization, the entrepreneurs to become eligible has to submit a detailed appraisal note from a schedule. Hence, it depends upon the chartered accountant's skill and ability to convince the bankers to get the process sanctioned within these 45 days, get the detailed project. What I suggest to my friends, my colleagues, you ask the bankers, whatever conditions you want to put in the proposal, subject to NA order, subject to pollution control clearance, subject to 75% collateral security, subject to positive net worth, subject to CIBIL clearances. CIBIL report किसका technical point के हिसाब से खराब आ रहा है. Subject to clearance of CIBIL report, the bank is giving sanction letter to the proposal. So those compliances can be made subsequently. A detailed sanction letter can be taken with a conditional sanction by the bank. No disbursement will be made unless those conditions are fulfilled. A detailed appraisal note from a commercial bank has to be uploaded along with the proposal to become the eligible. Detailed project report, detail, not a itinerary or not a 2-page, 3-page project report. Detailed project report, techno-economic viability report, TEV, detailed project report, techno-viability, merely stamped or endorsed by the scheduled commercial bank without detailed appraisal note. आपने detailed project report तो बनाया. You have prepared the techno-economic report also, and bank has stamped on those report. It does not suffice, or this does not fulfill the condition, eligibility criteria of MOFI. The bank has to prepare its own detailed appraisal note. Merely stamped or endorsed by the scheduled commercial bank without detailed appraisal note shall not be considered as a valid for the purpose of these guidelines. So ऐसा मत सोचना, whatever project I have submitted, if it said the same is appraised, the same is stamped by the bank, it will fulfill the conditions of detailed appraisal note. So bank has to prepare that detailed appraisal note in their respective online platforms. Each bank, say State Bank is India, is having yes format. Some other banks may have different format, that CMA data and all these things. So detailed project report with appraisal note is required. Infusion of equity of at least 20% of the project cost. I'm surprised why this condition is there. A guidelines has come on 8th June. A EOI has been given on 21st. And they says that 20% project cost should be proposed in general. Infusion of equity. 20% इक्विटी आपने प्रोजेक्ट में लाना, उसके लिए आपको सीए का सर्टिफिकेट लेना है. 10% of the proposals from difficult area, from SC, ST or farmer. So infusion of 10% of the project cost in the proposal. The value of land is registered in the value of land in registered sale lease deed shall not be considered as part of the project cost. As I told you, the value of land already discussed. Unsecured loan will not be treated as part of equity. See, infusion of equity. If promoter say, चलो मैंने 20% unsecured loan लेके आ गया, it will not be treated as a equity. The word used here is infusion of equity, not unsecured loan. So promoter capital, partners capital, LLP capital, share capital, unsecured loan of promoter, unsecured loan from partners, unsecured loan from designated partners, unsecured loan from directors is not equity. Keep in your mind, the chances of rejection are high. So unsecured loans will not be treated as part of equity to fulfill this condition of 20% of the total project cost. Eligibility criteria, very, very important. Minimum eligible project cost, 3 crore in general areas for general category. General areas के लिए जिसका project cost फिर वो expansion हो, modernization हो या new a project हो, the minimum eligible project cost, here the word is eligible project cost, is 3 crore. Whether it means eligible component of the project cost or the total project cost, the issue has to be clarified from the ministry itself. Minimum eligible project cost. Suppose my project cost is 3 crore 50 lakhs and my eligible project cost, ineligible and eligible assets. So my eligible assets is say 2 crore rupees. So whether I am eligible or not eligible is a question. So FAQs are there. We can ask the ministry to clarify our point. So minimum eligible project cost rupees 3 crore for proposal in general areas and rupees 1 crore for proposal from difficult area and SC, ST proposals. And we know what are the difficult area, and even SC, ST proposals means in which 51% shareholding is by SC, ST candidate. So this is another very, very important, crucial conditions to become eligible under the project. The minimum eligible project cost. Eligibility criteria. Only one application will be accepted from an entity. Again, explain. Suppose an entity submit 5 applications in 5 locations. Only one application will be accepted. Promoters of mega food parks, which are already in existence, and agro processing cluster approved by the ministry, who are desirous to set up units. Now, they are the owner of food park or agro processing plant, and if they want to establish a unit in their mega food park or agro processing, will be eligible. They will be eligible because they are the owner of food park, eligible for having financial assistance more than 1 unit. Expansion, upgradation of existing facilities eligible under the scheme, as I told you. No second proposal from an entity or promoter of an entity who have availed a grant earlier under the scheme will be considered. Suppose a promoter of an entity who has got a grant under the same scheme of MOPI, his second proposal will not be accepted under the scheme. So try to form a different entity. That is a planning. No second proposal from a promoters of entity who have availed grant in aid earlier under the scheme will be considered. Eligibility criteria. Entities or promoters of entity who have availed financial under another scheme of the ministry will be eligible for only after 2 years. मैंने दूसरी कोई स्कीम के अंदर मैंने एग्रो प्रोसेसिंग क्लस्टर, मेगा फूड पार्क और से कोल्ड स्टोरेज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, I have availed the scheme only after 2 years from the date of commercial operation of the previous project. मेरा वो प्रोजेक्ट ऑपरेशन होने के 2 साल बाद I can make the applications. An entity or promoter of entity shall not be eligible for financial assistance more than 2 projects during a period of 10 years. Eligibility criteria. We have to give an affidavit for that we have not, these conditions are there, and for they have prescribed certain affidavit in which the promoter is supposed to submit those affidavit online. Fees and performance security. The applicant who is submitting online application has to furnish non-refundable fee for processing our application. So for general category, applying for financial are required to submit non-refundable fee of rupees 20,000. And through demand draft, no online, no Google Pay, no online system is provided by the ministry. It has to be paid through demand draft in favor of the pay and account officer, Ministry of Food Processing Industries, New Delhi. ये नाम से आपको DD कार्ड के भेजना है if you are in general category. A non-refundable fee of rupees 15,000 for applicants from SC/ST candidate. So this is a process fee which is required to be paid at the time of submission of the application. And once the application is accepted by the ministry, 5% of the eligibility grant will be given in the form of bank guarantee. So performance security, that we will adhere to the guidelines. In case of installment, again the guidelines prescribe how much performance guarantee has to be submitted. Provided that in case installment of grant in aid is released by the ministry and the project is not completed, why this bank guarantee is taken? The grant is released by the ministry and the promoter does not go into production because of certain unforeseen circumstances, dispute between the management, no response from the market. Then what will the ministry will do? The ministry may encash the bank guarantee. That's why this bank guarantee, performance security guarantee, is taken by the ministry. Application filing and documents required. So far we have discussed the eligibility criteria. So what type of, if we are fulfilling these eligibility criteria, then the next question is 27 जून से लेके 10 August tak, now you are supposed to make the online application. So what type of documents are required to be uploaded while making the application? No physical applications will be entertained. अब आप बोलेंगे DD का क्या करना? DD has to be sent physically in the ministry's office at New Delhi, along with a covering letter that we have made our application, and this is with reference to our application. You will get one acknowledgement that your application is submitted with a number. So this DD is submitted with reference to that. So DD has to be submitted physically, but all the application has to be submitted online. So this is a portal, Ministry of Food Processing Industry, Pradhan Mantri. This portal is not functioning at present. This will start functioning with effect from 27th June at 10 o'clock in the morning. Application filing and documents required. What type of documents are required? All applications submitted online Sampada portal of the ministry. All application has to be submitted online. No physical application will be ignored, or such application will be ignored. Applicants are required to submit following documents. कौन से documents submit करना है online? See, very important conditions. All pages of the document submitted online must be self-attested by the applicants or its authorized signatories. Supporting documents for such private limited company, CEO is appointed, CFO is given the right to submit the application. So all pages of documents submitted online must be self-attested by the applicant or its authorized signatory. What type of documents required? Ministry will not responsible for delay in submission of any proposal. आप बोलेगे 10 अगस्त आ गई, हमारा तो आज सैंक्शन आया, we are not responsible, bank has taken the time, I could not submit the application because the internet is not working. No excuse. Ministry will not responsible for delay in submission of any proposal within the prescribed time limit indicated in EOI, and such proposal not received in time shall not be considered. Incomplete information, deficient documents submitted, uploaded by the applicant may lead to rejection of the proposal. I told you, all pages of the document submitted must be self-attested. Hence, incomplete information, deficient documents submitted by the applicant may rejection to the proposal. Mere submission of the applications, again EOI does not offer any right. मैंने application दे दिया, इसका मतलब मुझे grant मिलना ही चाहिए. No right is given to the applicant. It depends upon the scrutiny about the evaluation criteria. Grant in aid will be sanctioned based on merit, not on the आपने आपका right नहीं है, मैंने application submit कर दिया, I am fulfilling the criteria, give me the subsidy. Grant aid will be sanctioned based on merits. Preference criteria and evaluation of the proposal is as per the assessment criteria. उन्होंने assessment test रखा है, mark sheet रखी है. That mark sheet you will come to know in subsequent slides. When original documents are in regional language, Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Odisha, if the documents are in their regional languages, they should be accompanied by self-certified English Hindi translation. It should be certified that this is a English translation or Hindi translation of a regional language document. Purchase deed, partnership deed, other NOCs, project reports, sanction letters, if those are in a 712 extract of the land, plan approval letter from the department. So if these are in regional language, self-certified English and Hindi translation is required to be submitted. Detailed project report, 45 days में तैयार करना है, sanction करवा के लेना है, process note के साथ लेना है, indicating financial and technical profile of the entity. Detailed project report में क्या क्या चाहिए, what should be incorporated in the project report, indicating financial and technical domain expertise available with the entity, raw material availability in India where the proposal is proposed to be set up, arrangements for procurement of raw materials, marketing strategy, process flow diagram, proposed products with production capacity per day, technology proposed for various activities, financial estimates, cash flow, fund flow, debt equity ratio, then break-even analysis, profit and loss statement, estimated employment generation from the project, number of farmers estimated to be benefited. So these are the illustrative conditions which is to be incorporated in the project report. CA, the importance given by the Ministry of Food Processing Industry. See, they have relied upon the integrity of the chartered accountant professionals. CA statutory auditor certificate prepared in accordance with the statutory provisions. A draft is given in the guidelines. Read with condition in support of net worth. Net worth dena hai, so it should be certified by the chartered accountant. And it should be not only certified by CA, support of net worth along with the documentary proof. CA has to submit the documentary proof online. Final in principle term loan sanction letter from a bank. I told you. A detailed appraisal note specific to the scheme from a scheduled commercial bank. Appraisal note is a compulsory document. Certificate of incorporation, registration, memorandum, articles, bylaws of the society, partnership deed, PAN, TAN, SC/ST, caste certificate, whichever is applicable, self-attested on each page by the promoters of the unit, has to be uploaded. IEM registration, is it in your hand that you apply today for IEM registration? It depends upon the authority which is sitting in New Delhi. Within how much time the IEM will be issued by that department. Entrepreneur memorandum, Udyog Aadhar registration. We can authoritatively say that chalo at least मुझे 7 दिन में 2 दिन में उद्यम registration मिल जाएगा. Biodata, background experience of the entity and its promoters relevant to the scheme. Annual reports and audited if it is an expansion project of last 2 financial years. So these are the documents which are required to be uploaded along with the applications. Project land, details of land on ownership basis or leasehold. So if you have purchased the land documents which is converted into English or Hindi language along with relevant documents. Agar land purchase nahi karna hai, kal ministry, we have purchased the land and ministry has not considered our project. What will happen? Land apne gale mein pad jayegi. So you can either hold the land on leasehold basis, but lease ke baare mein bhi condition dal diya. In case of lease, the registered lease deed shall be for a period of at least 15 years. In the name of the applicant firm, the owner of the land will lease the land to the applicant firm minimum for 15 years. Again, stamp duty is involved. So friends, as an approach to the practice, here you will get only the genuine clients. Chance lene wale clients nahi milegi. You will get only the genuine clients who is willing, who has a determination, who has finalized that you want to establish the units. In case of land for the project has been taken or lease from state government, the policy of state government, MIDC land, GIDC land, Goa Industrial Development Corporation land, then the policies of the state government. Self-attested English Hindi version needs to be submitted in such document is the regional language, as I told you. Proof of submission of requisite fees, demand draft ka scan copy, quotation from original equipment manufacturer, loan sanction letter samjha, quotation bhi chahiye, or its authorized dealer supplier in respect of plant and machinery and equipment for the proposed project. CA, again the importance of CA. CA statutory auditor certificate for cost of projects and means of finance. Format is given. Item wise and cost wise details of technical civil work. Envisaged duly certified by chartered engineer civil. Item wise and cost wise details of plant and machinery supposed to be purchased, duly certified by chartered engineer mechanical. These all documents are essential. These documents are required to be uploaded to become eligible to get the subsidy, and undertaking to be furnished by the applicant as per the format provided. The format is given in the guidelines. The expenditure made incurred on the project before the date of submission on online application shall be furnished as per the format provided. Any expenditure incurred before submission of application has to be provided in a prescribed format. Correspondences, emails, letters from possible backward or backward linkages with manufacturers, suppliers, and all these things. All pages of the proposals are to be properly numbered, and proposal should contain an index as first page of the proposal, indicating the various documents submitted along with page number, failing which the proposal is likely to be rejected. कौन सा डॉक्यूमेंट कौन से पेज पे है, इसका एक इंडेक्स बना के उसको भी अपलोड करना है. Selections of proposal for financial assistance. हमने ये सब कर लिया. We have fulfilled all the condition, eligibility criteria, eligibility process, loan sanctions. Then now the goal is with MOFI, selection of proposal for financial assistance. Proposal will be invited by the ministry through expression of interest. 24/7, 365 days, the window is not open. It will be only when an expression of interest is published by MOFI, and the expression of interest is published as far as this guidelines is concerned on 26 June 2022, which will be valid for 45 days from the date of opening of window to the date of closing of window, 27 June 2022 till 10th August 2022, which may be extended. Past history 2017 to 2020, which may be extended by the ministry only in case sufficient proposals are not received. उनको कुछ अपने आप में एक पता है sufficient, because the conditions are so stringent that very hard to fulfill the guidelines. But still it is India, Startup India, Stand Up India, Made in India, production linked incentive scheme. The government is proactive for industrial development in the country. So me particularly is very positive that the ministry will get the good response under these schemes. So in case sufficient proposal are not received, it may be extended. Applicants can be filed only online on the ministry's Sampada portal. This is a portal through which the application, I have given you the screenshot of that portal. This here you are supposed to make the application online for submitting the application. So this is the official portal through which you can make the applications. Selections of proposal, the ministry will constitute a technical committee. It is an internal process. Project approval committee within the ministry. Technical committee may be assisted by the project management agency, again an agency which is appointed at central level, which may be a big four firm to be appointed by the ministry. So there will be 3-tier system: technical committee, project approval committee, and project management agency. Once the project is submitted, it is scrutinized by project management agency. Then it goes to the project approval committee, and then it goes to the technical committee. The technical committee, see, these are the procedural aspect, which I should skip because of certain other important aspect. Criteria for evaluation. As I told you, there will be marking system. And if you get certain percentage of marks out of these 100 marks, then only your proposal will be considered by the ministry. Priority sector, perishable products, fruit, veg, meat, poultry, milk, and aqua products, 25 marks. If your unit is from these sectors, then you will get 25 marks out of 100 marks. If it is for consumer products, bakery, snacks, breakfast, cereals, ready to eat and ready to cook food products, then 20 marks. And for non-perishable products, grain, pulse, oil milling, 15 marks. So there is out of 25 marks, these three criteria is provided. कहाँ से मिलेगा ये detail? This detail will come from detailed project report or bank appraisal report, and for entrepreneur IEM or Udyam registration. So these are the sector from where you will get the marks. Possession of appropriate land. Land possession को भी marks दिया हुआ है. Complete land title sale deed in the name of the entrepreneurs, 15 marks. If clear industrial NA land is there and it is in the name of the owner or leased in the firm name, then 15 marks. Complete land without clear land use, agriculture land. Land के ownership document है, but still it is an agriculture land, not converted into industrial NA land, 10 marks. एग्रीमेंट टू सेल परचेस, हमने केवल एक एग्रीमेंट बना के रखा है, बट नो परचेस इज डन, 5 मार्क्स. 10-15 में से 5, 10 मार्क तो वैसे ही लूज कर गए. सो प्रायोरिटी विल बी गिवन इन दिस वे. प्रायोरिटी सेक्टर 25, 20, 15. पोजेशन ऑफ लैंड 15, 10, 5. इन्वेस्टमेंट इन एलिजिबल प्रोजेक्ट, हाईएस्ट द इन्वेस्टमेंट, हाईएस्ट द मार्क. More than 15 crore, 15 marks. More than 8 crore bus up to 15 crore, 10 marks. Less than 8 crore, 8 marks. So the big entrepreneurs, the multinational will get the advantage under this scheme. The small scale sector, the MSME sector is given the disadvantages or less priority treatment under this scheme. So more than 15 crore, 15 marks. Net worth of the applicant, 1.5 times. If your net worth is more than 2 times of the proposed equity, 15 marks. More than 1.5 and up to 2 times of the proposed equity, 10 marks. Balance sheet, CS certificate, supported document is the document from which it will be attested. More than 1 and up to 2 times of the proposed equity in case of SC/ST applicant, 10 marks. So these are the marks. Debt service coverage ratio. See the importance of bank appraisal. See the importance of detailed project report. Debt service coverage ratio, 3 and above, 15 marks. DSCR between 2.5 but less than 3, 12 marks. Between 1.5 but less than 2.5, 10 marks. But it is not the project which is prepared by chartered accountant. हम तो बना देंगे 3 का कि हम 4 का debt service coverage ratio लाके दे देंगे. Bank appraisal report, not the project report submitted by the promoter, by the applicant. It is the bank appraisal. Very difficult to get the 2.5 to 3 point debt equity ratio. 99% will come between 1.5 to 2.5. So here you are going to get 15, 12 or 10 marks. Project strength, the promoters having training, or if he is a BTech in a BTech, BSc agriculture, horticulture, food processing technology, dairy scientist technology, agri and above, in agri MBA, then 5 marks. Diploma in agriculture, horticulture, and if you don't have any such qualification, then this 5 marks is lost. 95 marks में से आपका assessment होगा. Turnover of the applicant firm, if they are making expansion, for what will happen in case of new entrepreneurs? First time entity which has come, ये तो 10 mark तो गए, so 90 marks में से assessment होगा. Turnover of applicant for promoter, अब इधर firm promoters लिखा है, having at least 10% holding in food processing. प्रमोटर जिसका 10% से ज्यादा शेयर होल्डिंग है और उनका टर्नओवर 10 करोड़ से ऊपर होगा तो 10 मार्क. और फूड प्रोसेसिंग, वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड, वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू decode this criteria. So these are the criteria which is having 100% mark, and the promoter which is getting minimum 60 marks. A general category applicant will have to obtain minimum 60 marks to become eligible to be considered by the Ministry of Food Processing. And for applicant belonging to SC/ST category, the minimum 45 marks in order to become eligible for consideration of grant in aid. See the conditions prescribed. And this marking will be done by the project approval committee or the project management team based on the document submitted by us. So if any applicant who is getting less than 60 marks will be straightway rejected. Any applicant who is from SC/ST category and who is obtaining less than 45 marks will be rejected immediately. So friends, download the guidelines and try to understand how much marks your client is getting to become eligible under these schemes. Selection, the ministry decides again certain conditions, the ministry shall inform the applicant whose proposal are rejected. This is a good thing. At this time, in the guidelines, it is mentioned that the ministry shall inform the applicant whose proposal are rejected, either based on eligibility criteria or technical parameter or assessment criteria. The reason for rejection by the technical committee. Before convening rejection of the proposal, the approval of the secretary of the ministry will be, it is an internal process. An applicant agreed with the rejection is given the chance to make an appeal before the approval committee. We can make an appeal to the approval committee that your ground of rejections is not proper. In respect of proposal found eligible, again certain conditions are prescribed. In case of eligible proposal having equal marks, suppose two proposal has got equal marks, preference will be given to the proposal having highest eligible project cost. 200 करोड़ 300 करोड़ का प्रोजेक्ट है, 15 मार्क्स तो मिल गए, पर एक प्रोजेक्ट 40 करोड़ का, एक प्रोजेक्ट 500 करोड़ का, दोनों को इक्वल मार्क्स मिले, then the proposal invoicing higher project cost will be given the preference. I don't know whether they want to give the subsidy or whether they want to make the competition between the promoters who is eligible and who is not eligible. अरे भाई grants देना है तो दो ना, because investment is happening in the country. Why such stringent conditions are prescribed? The decision of the ministry shall be final regarding eligibility or otherwise of the proposal. Selection of proposal from in quantum dropped in approved. The ministry will issue a letter after successful scrutiny of the proposal. The ministry will issue the approval letter. उसमें डिटेल प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट क्या है, टोटल प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट क्या है, एलिजिबल प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट क्या है, कितनी ग्रांट मिल सकती है, कंप्लीशन शेड्यूल ऑफ द अप्रूवल प्रोजेक्ट एंड अदर रिलेवेंट्स विल बी इनकॉर्पोरेटेड. द मिनिस्ट्री शैल इन्फॉर्म that stamp paper has to be given, and once the exception letter and undertaking is given, the applicant will be called. Once the proposal has, the entrepreneur has got a sanction letter from the ministry, then that applicant will be called as by the ministry project implementing agency, PIA, by the Ministry of Food Processing Industries. Now, ये सब करने के पीछे what is the attraction? Why we have assembled together to understand about this scheme? Ultimately, what amount my client is getting under this scheme of the ministry? Grant in aid, pattern of assistance. Grant in aid will be 35% of the eligible project cost, not the total project cost. Grant in aid will be 35% of the eligible project cost in general areas. General area में eligible project cost means plant and machinery and technical civil construction. 35% of that will be grant in aid. Grant in aid will be 50% of the eligible project cost for project in difficult areas. Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Seven Sister, and project of SC/ST, farmer producer organization, and self-help group. So 50% and 35%, subject to maximum. how much a entrepreneur will be eligible to get the subsidy, whether it is 35% or 50%, 5 crore rupees. 5 crore रुपए का मैक्सिमम सब्सिडी मिलने वाला है. The amount is attractive. It is not a small amount. If an promoter incurs say 5 crore का प्रोजेक्ट लगाता है, SC ST फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, 50% मीन्स 5 करोड़, 10 करोड़ पे 5 करोड़ मिल रहा है, और 35% फॉर जनरल कैटेगरी एरिया मैक्सिमम 5 करोड़. No upward revision for any reason whatsoever in approved grant will be considered. 5 करोड़ से ज्यादा सब्सिडी नहीं दी जाएगी. So this is very important slide for all of us. What is the maximum amount of subsidy a general category promoter or general area promoter is eligible? It is 35%, subject to maximum rupees 5 crore. For applicant in difficult areas, as well as project for SC, ST or FPO or self-help group, the grant in aid will be 50% of the eligible project cost, subject to maximum 5 crore rupees. In case of proposals, see, this is a theory part before the no grant in aid shall be payable on any expenditure of the nature whatsoever made. अगर आपने कोई भी expenditure before the date of issuance of approval letter मिलने के पहले आपने कोई भी eligible expenditure कर दिया, eligible item पे खर्चा कर लिया है, it will not be considered by the ministry toward eligible component of the. So you cannot purchase any machinery, any equipment before the date of issue of approval letter. If anything is purchased before the date of approval letter, that asset, that amount will not be eligible for calculation of grant of aid. Grant and aid will be considered of eligible project, eligible and illegible we have seen, excluding taxes, what I have told you. Proposal received from entities scheduled caste 51% होना चाहिए. If there is any reduction, 51% से अगर reduction हो गया SC ST candidate का during the implementation period, then the subsidy which is already received has to be refunded with 10% interest. So it is not that कि चलो application करते वक्त 51% SC ST को ले लिया और project चालू होने के पहले उनको निकाल दिया. No, it is not permitted. If such things happens, if such things comes to the knowledge of the ministry, the grant will be called back with a 10% interest. And the most condition, see, इतना सब करे बाद में भी government क्या बोलती है, disclaimer, the grant in aid will be released subject to availability of funds. Again, devoting assistance, not important. Implementation schedule and extension of timeline. Completion period. आपको अप्रूवल लेटर मिला, उसके 18 महीने के अंदर आपको ऑपरेशनलाइज हो जाना है. Time for completion and operationalization of project will be 18 months from the date of issue of approval letter. Approval letter के लिए 45 days. अप्रूवल लेटर मिले बाद में 18 महीने के अंदर आपको प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट करना है, देन ओनली यू आर एलिजिबल टू गेट द सब्सिडी. इंप्लीमेंटेशन शेड्यूल एंड एक्सटेंशन ऑफ टाइम. आपको सब्सिडी 2 इंस्टॉलमेंट में दी जाएगी. शेड्यूल फॉर सबमिशन ऑफ क्लेम्स फॉर रिलीज ऑफ इंस्टॉलमेंट. अप्रूवल लेटर आ गया, यू हैव स्टार्टेड द इंप्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट. शेड्यूल फॉर सबमिशन, आपको क्लेम कब कब दाखिल करना है, फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ इशू ऑफ अप्रूवल लेटर. फर्स्ट इंस्टॉलमेंट within 9 months from the date of approval letter. Second installment within 18 months from the date of approval letter. Time schedule may be extended by secretary, not by any other officer of the ministry beyond the period. Why this type of small events is taken to the secretary level, I don't know. The time schedule may be extended by the secretary of the ministry beyond the event. There shall be commensurate relief. I'm just keeping those extension of 6 months, so they may permit granted maximum for 6 months. any extension be consultation with the ministry, change in component and cost of project. Suppose somebody reduction हो गया eligible project cost, reduction in project component during the implementation, कुछ machine कम कर लिया, bank change कर दिया, but commercial to schedule commercial to cooperative नहीं चलेगा. Change in bank is permitted, change in shareholding patterns board of directors is permitted, change in location of the facilities other than main facility, change in means of finance is permitted, change in components of cost of project shall require approval of the project approval committee. So if anybody is want to make any changes in the components subsequent to the submission of project, it is permitted. Release of grant in it. Grant kaise दी जाएगी? As I told you, in 2 installments. The grant will be released in 2 installments within 9 months from the date of issue of letter and within 18 months from the date of issue of letter. I'm just keeping. Requirement of document before release of. What type of documents are required to be submitted before release of grant? First installment 50% of grant. 5 crore का grant है, 2.5 crore लेना है for FPO. Detail of the 3 bank accounts with respect to contribution by PIA, again certificate from CA, term loan from the bank, grant intent from the ministry, required documents, ESC mandate in prescribed format, certificate from chartered accountants. See the importance of chartered accountant certificate given by the MOFI, certificate from chartered accountant to the effect that the expenditure on eligible component of the project has been incurred after the date of issue of approval letter by the ministry. Certificate from chartered accountant in prescribed format that total 50% expenditure. Total expenditure only 10% will be announced and as a advance. अब हमने advance दे के रखा है vendor को. Chartered engineer mechanical for the purchase of machinery. All and plant and machinery has to be new. Refurbished second-hand machinery is not permitted with unique machine number, month of year of manufacturing. Chartered engineer certificate, civil certificate, clear land use any order, geo-tagged project, bank certificates, consent to establish from MPCB or pollution control board, approved building plan from relevant authority. Self-attested English version, second installment of grant. Again, utilization of second, CA certificate, chartered engineer certificate, chartered mechanical certificate, chartered engineer civil certificate. This list of document is prescribed which has to be submitted physically. For claiming claim, all document has to be submitted physically. But for application, the document has to be made online. Second installment. Monitoring and evaluation. It will be monitored by the project management agency, by the project approval team, implementation of project adjustment reduction shall make all possible action. Extension will be given subject to reduction in the grant in need. 3 months ka extension diya, nil grant. More than 3 months to 4 months, 5%. So maximum 3% grant will be reduced by the ministry if extension is permitted. Miscellaneous provisions, interpretations and all these things are given. Jurisdiction of court. If suppose somebody has make application from New Delhi or some say Gujarat, then he can, if he wants to make an application with the court of law, the court of law will be, the court situated in Delhi will be only the appropriate court as far as jurisdiction of the Ministry of Food Processing Industry is concerned. So friends, I have put in front of you the detailed eligible sector, the detailed guidelines, the detailed terms and condition. If you have any clients nearby you, take it a opportunity, try to help him. Day to day, हमने GST law को successful करके बताया, which was a very new law in the country. You are all trained by ICAI in such a way that after reading the guidelines, after understanding, after decoding, you can enter into this area of practice. And if your client gets a subsidy of 5 crore rupees, what will be the professional fee we may be eligible to get. So with this, I think I have given proper justice to the topic. Thanks to all the participants. I think there was 72 participants who was continuously listening to me. And thanks to the WIRC, particularly to the committee of WIRC of ICI, who has given me this opportunity. With this, I stop over here. If you have any question, the head office or the organizer can read the question. I will answer them. I'm stopping my PPT also. Over to you at WIRC. Thank you, sir.
Anyone have questions can be asked directly or mentioned in chat box.
Sir, there are 3 questions mentioned in chat box.
Ishwar
What
bhai,
are the
you can read, please.
Sarvesh Patil has raised a question. What are the central main sources where we can get knowledge and updates of latest scheme? Join the webinars and seminar organized by WIRC Committee on MSME. Join this certificate course on MSME organized by ICAI. If you are interested to become a resource person with ICAI, WIRC, I think no other institution in the country other than ICAI is taking efforts to educate our members about the professional opportunities available in MSME. Nikhil Pehlwani, is polypropylene bags manufacturing eligible? I think no, standalone. It is not a packaging material, but not a human consumption. Anonymous attendee, say for example, an Andhra fails to get a grant under this scheme, but has committed resources to taught the, what are the other relaxation? You can go to the state government subsidies, which are declared by respective state government, because if you are not fulfill the conditions, you are not eligible. Rajkamal Shah, from where we can find list of difficult area. ITDP area, just Google it, ITDP area declared by, or the state itself is Himachal state 100%, Uttarakhand 100%, Northeast 100%. It is a difficult area. So I think I have answered all the 4 queries.
As rightly said by GB Modi sir, that we at WRC is highly committed to provide knowledge sharing and empowering our members. And GB Modi sir is very active in MSME. So thanks for all your support, sir. And the session was also very interactive and knowledge sharing, knowledge sharing from all the attendees. I believe that all the attendees will get benefit in terms of knowledge sharing. Now I request Ishwar Jivani ji to propose a very well deserved vote of thanks to GB Modi ji.
Thank you, Ajmera ji, for giving me an opportunity to propose formal vote of thanks on behalf of WRC. Formally, now I propose formal vote of thanks on behalf of WRC of ICI. Sir, Modi sir, we are very much thankful to you for providing the detailed guidelines regarding Kisan Sampada Yojana to our members and enlightening them and providing them a wonderful opportunity in practice. So with this, I thank you, sir, and also we are thankful to the members for having a patient listening. Thank you all.
People are asking for the PPT. I will be
Yes.
sharing the PPT with the committee. You can host it or you can share the PPT with the members.
Yes, definitely we'll mail them.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Thank
sir,
you
for that publication also, sir. We can have a,
sir, we will follow you for publication.
Thank you, sir. I will try.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.